Amazing. And then let's bring up this slideshow. So I'm going to share my screen so you can have a look. We're obviously going to be diving into specifically singing self-tapes today. That's what this next, probably just under an hour, will be. So I'm going to share my screen and bring it up. Amazing. Cool. It's blocked me out, but never mind. Oh, no, yeah, it's gone on my photo. It does that. I don't know why it does that, but it does. So we are, as I said, looking at how to do a great self-tape audition. So this is when you get a request for a singing self-tape. Can you tape 1 minute of this song or 2 contrasting songs? Can you do an intro? Blah, blah, blah. We're going to talk about everything that's involved in your self-tape process. So from the very beginning, from your setup all the way through to the actual performance. So here we go. What are we going to cover? So we're going to have a look at setup. We're going to have a look at visual. We're going to look at audio. We're going to be looking at the do's and the don'ts, the performance side of it, sharing your finished self-tape as well, and then any questions throughout. So if you do have any questions throughout things, then do drop it into the chat. I can see the chat. So fire away if things are coming up at the end of each section. So we are going to go into detail with each thing to make sure that you feel like really confident with your self-tapes moving forward. So who am I to start off with? Most of you kind of know me. Rachel, I know you're inside the membership and you've been a one-to-one client, you've done rep revamp, you've done loads with me, so you literally could tell all this spiel. But I am a vocal coach. I'm also a musical theatre career coach. I work with singers and performers, mainly in the musical theatre industry. My clients are in the West End, they're international, they're on cruises, they're in tours, they're all around the world, doing incredible things in their careers, or based, in London or in the UK or somewhere around the world where they're trying to get their next big gig, their next big musical theatre job. I've been in the industry for over 12 years. In fact, now I officially need to change it to 13 plus years. I haven't updated this slide. It's 13 plus years in the industry, and almost 3 years as a coach. And I booked I always had 3, I had my top 3 dream jobs, and I booked 2 out of those 3 so far. The third one is Donna Sheridan in Mamma Mia. I'm just not quite old enough yet, so I will get there. Yeah, I went from not getting auditions to then getting in the room, which was, one of the biggest hurdles I think that so many of us overcome. I was getting no callbacks, realised what songs I needed to take in the room, what version of myself, how amazing I am. I started getting consistent callbacks and building connections in the industry, and that went on to me booking like jobs that I absolutely loved, and that's what it's all about. So let's look at your setup for your self-tapes. So obviously you need your recording device. So you can be using your phone, you can use a camera, it's whatever works for you. Majority of people now use their phone, because iPhones, Samsungs, Androids, whatever phone you've got, generally they're microphones that are built into them, and their video quality is of such a high standard that you don't need any other device. So we're really lucky really with technology moving forward at the speed it is. I do highly recommend, if you haven't already, you get yourself a tripod and some form of lighting. In my opinion, a tripod is a non-negotiable. It's easier for you, and it is easier for you, and it's just more professional as well than having to balance books and things on a shelf or a windowsill on top of a plant pot and then lean your phone against something and make sure it's at the right angle, and it's not worth it. For the sake of, you can get some for like 15 quid, but go and get one from Amazon. Lighting, yeah, you can get different You can either get sort of like clip-on lighting that is relatively good. You can use natural light. However, when it's not summer, sorry, dog barking. When it's not summer, we are limited to the hours of daylight we have. So I do think it's a wise idea, especially if you're based over here, or even in anywhere in the Northern Hemisphere. It's a wise idea because part of the year you might get 6-7 hours of daylight. If you can't film between the hours of like 10 and 4, then you're a bit screwed because it's a bit dark. It gives you a better quality of picture as well. And I'm going to be giving you examples of these and showing you different ideas for these as well. You can use a ring light, which I'm sure all of you know, and these are great because your ring light very often is built onto a tripod with your phone holder in, so it comes as one. Again, not crazy expensive. Yeah, Rachel says I bought a great mini ring light and tripod. Yeah, amazing. There you go. Looks pretty good to me. Yeah, it goes up and down, fab. Love it. That's what you need, isn't it? That's literally it. That's all you need. It's just a stable place to have your stuff. Makes you feel, it takes an element of stress away because it's easy. You just put it up, you put your phone in it, and you start recording. And it also it's way more professional. It makes you feel much more confident, I think. And then background is obviously something to consider in your setup. So do you have behind you any visual distractions? Is there anything behind you that is going to take the focus from you? And that is visual and audio distractions. So is there noise outside? You know, is your mum downstairs, like, you know, shouting, singing to Whitney Houston? Is your neighbour drilling some new pictures onto the wall in the room next door? Things like that are going to take away from you, because obviously your self-tape needs to be all about you. So before we crack on, actually, let's double check. If you have any questions, drop them into the chat. If you've got any questions about setup, I'm actually going to be sharing some of the things that you can use and also showing you what I've got as well in a moment's time. All good? Amazing, great. So if throughout any of this you do have any questions come up, then just pop them in and I will come to them. So these are obviously some examples of everything you can use in your setup. So you've got your phone or a camera if you'd rather use that. Ring light there at the top, that's one of the clip-on ones. And then you've got a ring light like Rachel's got literally below it, tripod on there, and then microphone as well. I will talk a little bit about microphones. This one is one of the ones that clips into, plugs into your laptop. So you would need wire, different system and things for that. I do think the more you add to your self-tapes, the more complicated it can get. However, it's personal preference and it's whether you see the value in it, buying something else, you know, buying a microphone to add to it, adding another thing that you need or don't need, again, personal preference. You can get the little clip-on microphones that they plug into the bottom of your iPhone and make the sound better. They pick up your voice better. So something like that could be useful. But again, it's whether you want to spend like 70, 80, 100 pounds on something. Depends how often you use it and whether, yeah, as I said, whether you see the value in it, really. And then on the bottom bottom right corner, they're background pop-ups. So they're just photography background pop-ups. They come in a bag, you literally take it out, it's like a pop-up tent, but it's just a background. So you can put that behind you. If you don't have plain walls anywhere and you want to have a background that, you know, isn't distracting, looks more professional, then that's an option. Again, it's not something you have to have. I would say tripod and light are more on the must scale, further up the must scale. Microphone and backdrops, things like that, are added things if you want to use them, or if you don't want to use them. I'm going to come back to you. I'm going to show you what I have here as well. So on my, oh, start my video again. Let me let her in. So I have a couple of different things. So what you're on right now is a tripod and big ring light that I got in Hong Kong, and literally is the best, brightest ring light I've ever found in my life. It was the equivalent of £15. But it's the best thing ever. It's so bright. And I tried to I ordered loads off of Amazon because this was getting a little bit wobbly, and I was like, okay, let's replace it so that the light doesn't fall off one time. I couldn't find anything bright enough that was like on the same scale, so I thought if it does break, I'll just tape it back on because it's so good. But I've also got this, which is like another, like just for like, doesn't have a ring light attached to it. That obviously goes up. It's got all this different doodahs. That was really useful when I went to New York. I took that with me so that I could do sessions and things. Hey Tallulah, no, you're absolutely fine. We're just talking about setup at the moment, Tallulah. So you're absolutely fine. And then I've also got this little clip-on ring light, which is really great, which is another, it just clips onto your phone or something. And it's just a square. If it turns on, if the battery's not dead. Ah, it did turn on. There we go. Which is great, handy. Again, I think it depends how much you move around, you know, how often you need it. All down to what you need and want, really. But yeah, the little microphone that I was talking about is, I don't have one, but it basically goes into the bottom of your phone. It just goes into that little hole and then picks up your voice better. Same as you can get the microphones where you have, as the picture that I showed you. What am I recording on now? Just my iPad. So sound quality is fine. Again, actually, a lot of my longer videos, so social media stuff, let you into it behind the scenes. My social media stuff, I use my phone majority of the time. And apart from the one time my phone wouldn't work, and then we had a major panic and we had to use the iPad for everything, which was fine. But my iPad I use more for like the longer videos. So YouTube videos I use for masterclasses, I use for coaching, I use this more for everything else. Yeah, Zoom meetings, Skype, etc. Yeah, so this, you can get other microphones that literally clip into the side. So I have another one that's it's a Rode microphone, and it's kind of like got a little sticky out bit, but that can go on top of the on top of like a camera or in the side of your iPad, iPhone, something like that. But again, it's an added thing, so it's personal preference really, whether you want to use that, whether you think that sound quality needs to be improved or not. So yeah, incredible. Any other thoughts or questions about setup stuff? No, I mean, we'll dive more into visual and audio, so let's go into those. Very neat. So we'll look at visual first. So you've got on your visual chart, these are the things that you want to be aware of, thinking about. First thing is clear picture. So obviously you don't want to be fuzzy, you don't want to be looking distorted or pixelated or anything like that. You want to make sure that in your self-tapes, your picture is clear, you can clearly be seen, your acting, your facial expressions can all be seen. Frame is the next thing we're going to talk about a little bit more. So with your frame, you've got different sizes of frame. You've got a more close-up frame. You've got more of a further away, like mid frame, which is like waist to head. So your close-up frame is your shoulders and head. Your mid frame is like waist to just above your head. And then the more rarely asked for one, I would say, is like a full length one. Full length shows physicality, but for singing specifically and acting, we don't see a lot of your facial expressions and stuff. So I don't think that is used as much for singing and for acting. Obviously, you'd want a full frame if you were dancing. Dancing would also most probably be in a studio rather than at home. Lighting, already discussed that. You want to make sure that you're seen. You'll see in these, I'm going to give you a couple of examples in a minute. You'll see that when your lighting isn't great, your face isn't clear. So that's why you want to make sure that, you know, it's bright enough, it's light in your face, and you're not having to navigate around a window if you've got a light to be able to brighten you up. Rachel, I'll have a look at your comments in a second. You want to make sure that you've got a clear background. I think that goes without saying. If you've got things in the background, they can steal your focus. Again, I'm going to show you some examples of that in a moment. And visual effects, filters, like, it sounds silly. I always say it, and I'm like, but that's so silly. Why would anyone use a filter? You'd be surprised. So yeah, stay away from any kind of visual effect, any kind of filter. You want to make sure that you as you are is the main focus. There's no distractions, there's nothing funny about your choice of background, lighting, frame, how you appear. So let's have a little look at some examples. These are examples for lighting, and they also show frame a little bit. So right now, if you look, I mean, Rachel, Gigi, you're great examples right now of that head and shoulder frame. So you've literally got shoulders and head in it. It's relatively close, like we can see your facial expressions really well. Same as where I'm positioned when my camera is actually on. Same thing, head and shoulders, you can see what's going on. And I've seen, Rachel, you said, I usually go for head and shoulders, especially for singing tapes, a little closer for acting, like you say. Yeah. So let's look at this one. This is kind of like a mid-frame. If I was like holding my arms out, if I lifted my arms up, I mean, this is slightly wider actually than a mid-frame, you would see that I've got physicality. You can see that I'm moving, but you can still see my face. However, the lighting isn't great, which you can see. It's a little bit like, it's not a very clear picture, not a clear picture. The light is beside me. Another thing with this, it's no matter what I'm doing, you are going to be distracted by what's behind me, without a shadow of a doubt. Even if there were only 4 picture frames there, you'd still be distracted. But the amount of distractions that are behind me, you've got curtain, you've got radio, you've got table, on top of all those pictures, you know, writing, photos, etc. Like, if no matter how good my self-tape is, if you got that in the background, they're probably not going to be watching me. And that's something to massively consider. This one, I've chosen to go for literally my background now, while I, you know, when I coach, when I do masterclasses, when I'm online, every, you know, lives and things like that on social media. This is generally the background that I have. I'm not sure why I choose to have a plant in the background. I think it was just that originally I used to have like my self-tape, just white wall, and it felt empty and a bit plain. So I wanted to add a plant, really random, but there we go. That's my reasons behind it. You'll see in this one, the lighting is better, but the background is still distracting. Like, if I could get away with not having that in the background, that's what I would opt for a self-tape. As I said, lighting's better, but there is still some shading on my face, and my face isn't quite as sharp as it could be. Again, this is more of like a mid-frame shot. So this one is my, I don't know why I'm doing an Elsa pose. I think I just happened to capture myself in this moment, but literally the end of Let It Go. With this one, you can see my face. It's much brighter. I've got a light on me. I think I've got either my ring light or that little square light that I showed you, and it's a plain background. There is nothing there that is distracting. All you look at is me. And that's how you want it to be. You can see my facial expression, and then I'm going to do the same thing with this, exactly the same. You can see what I'm doing. You can see my facial expression. You're not going to be looking at anything other than me. And that's a perfect shot, actually, mid-frame example, this one. And then I chose to do another one in a different shirt, because I was like, I wonder if I wore a shirt the same sort of colour as the wall, if I would blend in or what. But actually it works, it's fine. Because what you wear is another thing to consider. I mean, this is the identical shirt I'm wearing, but in different colours, and you get a different vibe. Yes, I'm doing a different facial expression in them, but you get a different vibe from the white shirt than you do from the orange shirt. It's bold, white's a little bit more like blendy inny. So yes, what you wear matters. Personally, I would choose, in fact, I'd love your thoughts actually. If it was you, would you choose the plainer shirt or the orange shirt for a self-tape? Which would you choose if it was you? Before I say what I would choose. Rachel says orange. Tallulah says orange. There's no right or wrong either. This isn't a trick question. Gigi says orange. Yeah, Rachel says eye-catching colours pop. Corona says orange is a bit distracting, white less distraction. There we go. See? Do you see how it's opinion? It's literally opinion based. So yeah, I think because I know what I'm like as a person. Yeah, I love that. Corona says, but I do like the orange shirt personally. So do I love my orange shirt. I would, depending on what I'm auditioning for, but I do think I'd probably choose the orange, because if I opened that as a self-tape, I'd be like, bam, there she is. That's who she is as well. I'm definitely not a melt into the background type of personality, or I don't want to be. So yes, clothes do matter, background does matter, lighting does matter, frame does matter. This is an example of a full frame. I couldn't get the full frame without a bit of my door. I couldn't get further enough back. So, but you know, it's not the most distracting thing in the world. It's just a light switch and a door. So I know a lot of people often say to me like, oh, I've got a white door, can I stand against that? Like, yes, you can. Oh, I've got a light switch in the background, does that matter? Like, no, it's more things that are really obviously distracting. So if, for example, you don't have a space that is like my wall, I mean, this is my house, I own this house, we design it as we wanted to design it, you know, so I've chosen to have white walls because I like them, you know, for self-tapes and things as well, multi-purpose. But if you don't have that and you've got a corner where the door is plain, then absolutely, like, go for it. So obviously this is, as I said, further away. So I've got the light on me here, but because I'm further away, it's not picking me up as well as maybe it should. But this is a full frame. As I said, it shows physicality more because it shows your entire body. And then I've chosen to do this one because at this point I've moved out of the center of the frame. So this is another thing to be aware of. Make sure you're in the center of your frame because it's slightly off-putting if you're over to one side. I am going to talk about eyeline as well when we get to it. Any questions or thoughts about frame? about the visuals, about what to wear before we move on to audio? Questions, thoughts about visual stuff, anything visual related? Rachel, I can see you're typing. Should you avoid makeup? Okay, this is a great question, Quona. In fact, I'm going to come back to you guys for this. So I would say it depends very much what you're auditioning for. So if you're in for a role, I'm going to use Mamma Mia as an example because it's something that we all know, pretty much everybody knows. Mamma Mia, they're quite youthful. They live on a Greek island. It's you know, when you're going in for that, unless you're one of the older characters, but even as the older characters, unless you're in for Tanya, I'd say, you can definitely be more basic makeup wise. Again, it's personal preference and what you're auditioning for. If I was auditioning for Mamma Mia, I would pretty much look how I look right now. Makeup wise, everything be relatively natural. However, if I was auditioning for We Will Rock You, I would not look like I look right now. I probably would put some heavier makeup on. I would put some darker eyeliner and stuff on. So I do think it depends very much, Quona, what you're auditioning for, what the style of the show is, and the type of character that you're auditioning for. That I would let that determine the level of makeup you wear, and you as a person as well. Like if you're someone, I mean, I used to be the sort of person that went to an audition in heels and like a really nice jumpsuit or a pencil skirt or something, whereas would I wear heels now? Like, no, I probably wouldn't. But back then I was someone that I was always wearing heels, like whether it's heeled shoes, boots, whatever, like all year round, all day, all night, I wore heels. Now I don't so much, so I probably wouldn't choose to put a pair of heels on to go into an audition room. Same as I've never been a red lip person, so when I used to go into dance auditions and was surrounded by dancers with a red lip, like I never had a red lip because I just wasn't a red lip person. I felt like a drag queen with a red lip, so I didn't have, you know, I never was a massive makeup person. So yeah, in answer to that question, very much like I think it's on you and what you're auditioning for. Rachel said, I struggle with choosing the location sometimes for your self-tape, but this is to do with what I'm taping for. But this I'm sure will be covered in the sound section. Yeah. Choosing a location like a background, or choosing a location, as in acoustics. We will talk about that. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. We all love a bathroom self-tape, right? Yeah, bedrooms are super dull. Yeah, I get you. Yes, we're going to talk about that. Amazing. Let's go on to audio. Sorry, the word completely dropped out of my head. Let's go on to that. So, you can see me for a second. Oh no, I've disappeared again. Okay, audio. First thing I would always recommend doing is a sound check. Do a sound check, literally play your music, sing a bit of your song, record 30 seconds of it and watch it back. Is the sound okay? Can you hear you above the music? Can you hear the music underneath you? I would always prioritize your voice. Your voice is what they want to hear, not the track. So if the track is subtle underneath, but you're happy with your vocals and your performance, send it. If the music is really loud over the top of you and it's overpowering you, do another one. Yeah, so just double check those things. I have a triangle system for when I do self-tapes. I have a speaker, and I basically put the speaker the same distance from the recording device and me. so it creates a triangle. That normally is like the magic recipe, but it depends on the volume of your voice and your speaker, your music, whatever, however you're playing your music. So as I put here, your voice does need to be the priority. Your voice needs to be heard. Music, you want to be heard. I would choose a piano track or an emptier backing track over like a full orchestral, you know, vocals backing track. You don't want other singers on your backing track if you can avoid it. I also think a fuller orchestral track can be a lot. When you use a piano track, you are literally delivering exactly what you would in an audition room, but on video. And that is the aim. That is the aim. You want to, everything about your performance on a self-tape, you want to be a duplicate of what you would bring into the audition room. I'm not saying go and hire a pianist and get him to sit next to you and play, you know, on a piano and whatever. You can use a track, but you want it to be as accurate to that experience as you would, you know, step into the audition room as possible. No background noise. So like I was saying, if your neighbours, you know, if your neighbour's drilling some pictures onto the wall next to you, then maybe wait. I would communicate with people as well. So if you live in a house with housemates or with family, friends, whoever, go and, you know, talk to them and say, I'm going to be filming a self-tape from about 4 o'clock till 4:30 or 4 till 5. Just so you know, would you be able to keep it down so that I can, you know, get these recordings done? Just give them a heads up, have a conversation. Same as if you know your neighbour. I mean, right now my neighbour is doing work on their house. They are they're taking all the floors out and relaying the floors. So there has been like a bit of noise from them. So if I was going to do a self-tape or I needed to do a self-tape, I would go around there and I would say, I've got to record something. Are you, you know, is there a time that you're going to be having lunch? Is there a time that you're going to be finished today? I'll record at that time so I haven't got your noise in the background. Just plan ahead and communicate with people. Audio effects, reverb, echo, and the location, this kind of all goes in as one. So I wouldn't use any form of auto-tune. There's a lot of there's a lot of pressure, I think, for us to feel like it has to be perfect and sound like, you know, everything sound completely, incredibly audio perfect, and that's not the case. If it's a live performance of you singing, that is the most accurate representation of your skills that a casting panel can get. As soon as you put effects on top, reverb, echo, anything like that, you take away from your voice as a singer and your performance. So self-tapes, sorry, not self-tapes, vocal reels are quite a good example of this. There's some vocal reel companies that literally give you the naked vocal as it is. They don't really go crazy with the effects. They might just adjust a couple of pitching things. And then there's other companies or other vocal reels, singing reels that you can really hear are auto-tuned. Casting directors will know. Casting directors can tell. It's a mask over your true voice. So I wouldn't use any form of like effects, reverb, etc. And talking about reverb, talking about echo, obviously, I'm sure we've all sung in the bathroom, in the shower at some point in our lives, and we're like, whoa, this sounds so good. Or when you're in one of those rooms, you know, if you audition at different places, you know, Pineapple, Dance Attic, Dance Works, we've all got a room where we're like, oh, I love singing in that room. Like the acoustics are great, I sound fab. Like there used to be a room at Dance Attic that I often had auditions in, and I was like, yes, it's that room again, because I always sounded great. Like my voice would boom in that room, and I'm not the most boomy singer, but I loved the power. You get that same effect in any rooms that have a hard surface. The only downside to using, I've seen there, Rachel, you said it's hard using a bathroom. I have so many housemates that can't use it. There's your first problem. The bathroom is a room that is used by the entire house and isn't created for you to self-tape in. Other people want to use the bathroom, so that makes it not ideal for that one reason. Second thing is, when you record in a bathroom, we all know you've recorded in the bathroom. The look, the backdrop, the background behind you, the towel rail, the sink, the tiles, the shower, whatever is in the background, we know based on your background that you're in the bathroom. We also know from the sound that you're based in the bathroom, because as I said, we've all sung in the bathroom, we know how it sounds. It also adds echo, which actually isn't helpful for a casting team when they're getting your self-tape. So I wouldn't recommend recording in the bathroom. Kitchens are a location, but again, I find you don't have bare walls in a kitchen, so that's a challenge. So if you're looking for acoustics, like, yes, I know, Rachel, you said the bedroom sounds really dull, but your bedroom is probably the best place to do it. A, it's your space. B, you can make a blank wall. If you haven't got one, you can take things off the wall because it's your space, or you can choose to keep your walls blank. The more soft items you have in a room, the more it's going to absorb your sound. So yes, it may sound duller, but we've also, I'm sure, all sung in an audition room before where we're like, oh, this is a horrible room to sing in. Maybe it's got a beam or something where your voice bounces back and it makes your diction sound terrible. You just got to be more on top of it. I think it's just one of those things. A self-tape is an example of what you would have done if you were in the audition room. So all you need to do is showcase how great you are in the surrounding that you're in. I know some people will say, you know, should I hire a room? Should I hire a studio or something and record in there? Well, yeah, if you want to, if you've got the time and the money to go and do that and you want to do that, then great, go do that. But at the same time, I think you can also do it at home and it'd be absolutely fine. Got any questions on audio? We good? Yeah, all good. Still with me? Just leave I'm awake. Yes, I'm with you in the chat. Rachel says I'm here. Yeah, Gigi says I'm here. Fabulous. Good. Any questions about audio, then absolutely drop it in. Tallulah says all good here. Corona says here too. Great, brilliant, fabulous. Let's move on then. If anything obviously comes up as we're going through, we'll go back. Going to do a questions, you know, a Q&A at the end, so you're all good. So these are some do's and don'ts. Do a sound check, which I did mention, and do a practice run. However, your practice run, I would make sure that you're filming it and go all out, because it may be a useful take. You might actually end up using it. Do communicate with your housemates and your family. Like I said, anyone that you live with or anyone that could potentially disturb you, make sure that they know you're filming so they don't come walking in when you're in the middle of a really great take. You're literally on the end note and they step into the room, or you hear them, you know, start drilling outside of something and you're like, that was such a good take. Like, honestly, there's nothing more frustrating as I'm sure you know if you've been in that situation before. Stay in your frame as well. So for singing self-tapes, I would recommend going more mid-frame, so like waist to the top of your head, so we can see your face, we can see your facial expressions, but also so that you can move a little bit and it doesn't feel too much. When you're really close, so if you're in like a close-up frame, close-up shot, anything, any kind of movement can look a bit much, which I think for theatre, just that slightly wider frame so that we can see your your physicality, we can see you moving, and it doesn't look too full on, is a really nice, a perfect place to be. Don't over edit it. As I said, you know, stay away from adding reverb, pitching, you know, dealing with the pitching. If you go a bit off pitch, like if that's your voice, like that's your voice, that's what you would have done in an audition room. So why should a self-tape be any different? I think we can become perfectionists when we start self-taping. And this is the other one that I've put on here: don't do a million takes. So I would really, really recommend you limiting your takes. In fact, I'm interested, if you were doing a self-tape, on average, how many takes would you do? Just drop it in the chat. How many takes would you do if you were filming a self-tape on average? You know, in the past, if you've done a self-tape, or if you haven't actually done a self-tape before, you know, how many do you think you'd probably end up doing? Rachel says, too many, 10 to 15. Great. Gigi says, I usually do 15 or so. I get too bothered about the little details. Yep. Cronus says 5. That's good. Brill. Yeah. Tallulah, what about you? If you've done any self-tapes, drop it in. Yeah, so interestingly enough, you're absolutely right in what both Rachel and Gigi you've said. I'm going to come back to you and see you for a sec. So yeah, I would limit yourself to more than 10, 15 takes. As I'm sure you know, filming that many takes, you get to a point where you're like, I don't even know the difference anymore. I don't like any of them. You find an issue in all of them because you're looking for issues. When you do a lot of takes, you start making the same choices and therefore end up with pretty much the same take, maybe a slight difference. And then it does get really hard to decide what one you should send off. Because you're looking through them, you're watching them and you're like, oh yeah, I like that one, heart, put in your favourites. Watch the next one, you're like, oh yeah, I don't really like that one. No, I don't really like that one. Watch the next one, you're like, oh yeah, that one's quite good. You end up with maybe 7 favourited or maybe 10 that you hate. So you take another one, but it literally looks the same as all the rest. Once you've done, like, you know, I always say 3 to 5. Once you start getting over 5, you're not going to be doing anything different. You're just being over picky. Because if you were in an audition, you wouldn't be able to sing it and then be like, oh, actually, can I just do that one more time to try something different? Sing it again, and then do it again, and then do it again, and then do it. Like, you just wouldn't. So you have to treat it as much as possible like an audition process. Limit yourself. Because as well, you don't need to spend 5 hours doing one self-tape. Yeah, Gigi says, I remember being told never to do more than 3 takes, but I'm never able to limit myself to those retries, and it puts more pressure on. Yeah, definitely. You're not happy with what you produce, right? But if you were stepping into an audition room, you would do that once and leave. So the way I would normally work it, and this is how I've always done self-tapes myself, is film it once, like I do a sound check, tiny little clip. Yeah, sound is good, voice is good, let's go. Practice run, but I film it. I watch it back to make sure that I'm happy with all of the sounds, I'm happy with all of the visuals and the choices that I've made. I then will do 3 to, I don't normally do 5, I don't think, like realistically 3 or 4 takes. I might do 2 or 3. And I do 1 take and then I make another choice. I do that take and then I do a 3rd one, sometimes a 4th one if I was like, that was a bit of shit. I will then sit down and watch all of them back. So I filmed them all in one go, but made different choices, and then watch them all back. Normally by that point, unless they're all horrendous, like for some reason I've not hit the note every single time, or I'm not looking in the right place and I hadn't noticed that in the practice run, or majority of the time, one of those is going to be what I'm going to send. Because if I can't do it in 4 takes or 3 takes, then I wouldn't have been able to do it in the audition room. So like, I can keep going for hours and hours, but it's not going to get any better, because if I haven't done it in those 4, I'm not going to be able to do it. Again, this links in, Rachel, to what you've said. I think it's important to rehearse the material as much as you can and know your choices, so you're not over recording and over singing. Yeah. If you've practiced something, you know what you're singing, if it's one of your songs that you go to, or if it's material that's been given to you, it is just learning it to the absolute best of your ability and then delivering it to the absolute best of your ability. There's no excuse for it not to be amazing if it's your own material. I also recommend doing self-tapes every couple of months so that you've got your material taped. So if for some reason your agent or a casting director emails you and says, we want this tape from you, but we need it by 11 a.m. tomorrow, and you're working from now until 7 p.m. tonight, and then you start work again 8 a.m. tomorrow morning and you haven't got time, you've got something there in your Dropbox folder on YouTube to be like, oh, here you go, here's my self-tape. And it's been recorded literally within the last couple of months. You then don't have to stress. Same as we've all, I'm sure, there's been times when you're like, my voice just isn't feeling it, my voice is tired, my voice isn't on form. You've then got your go-tos. So if you're ill, if you've got the flu, if you, whatever, you've got a cold, you can't sing, your voice is gone, you're tired because you've been teaching, you've been talking, you've been working in the bar, whatever, and you get asked to do a self-tape, you can do it if you want to, and then go, oh, actually, my voice just isn't on form. Let's go to one of my catalogue ones. But as I said, you do need to do these every couple of months. Like I would do them, January, April, June, so that you've literally got one a quarter. Because A, you change, B, your voice changes, and C, you want it to be as close to the time as possible. Also, on the note of putting it on YouTube, I would keep it in a Dropbox folder, and then if you get asked to upload it to YouTube then, so it looks like you've just done it, rather than the date on there being January 2023, oh, well, that's not a recent one, is it? But that would just be my advice as a scapegoat safety net. I would do that, and I have done that in the past. Rachel says, I do need to limit myself more. I really blew out my voice on the last self-tape I did, so I've had to learn the hard way. The material was very difficult to sing. Yeah, and do you know what, on that topic of being given set material, you are going to be given things sometimes that are either outside of your capabilities or needs more time than you've been given. Like you could nail it, but you need a couple of weeks to work on it, and you've got a couple of days, and you're trying to juggle life at the same time. So all you can do in those circumstances is your absolute best, because if you were going in the audition room in a couple of days with that material, that's what you would deliver, and that's all they need to see. You also then know it for next time, and you can work on it for next time if it's something that you would be going in for again, something that's coming around again. It's always a challenge when you've got a time scale or a requirement that isn't something you've already prepared, something you're having to learn. But that's the nature of the job, and that's also why it's really useful to give yourself practice. And that's why inside the membership at the moment we're doing the self-tape challenge, so that each week you have something that you just get used to delivering something that you get asked for, either your own or something that's been requested that maybe you don't already know. It's really good practice to stay on top of. Corona, can it be on YouTube as unlisted? Yes, so I do get to this in a minute, but a lot of the time, yes, if you're submitting a self-tape and they want it on YouTube, it'll be unlisted, so that it's not just publicly up for display. And also So it's not private, they don't need certain access to it, literally unlisted, anyone who's got the link can see it. Yeah, that I think is the best way and the more common way of self-tape submissions and stuff as well. So yeah, but I will mention, I kind of touch on that as well in a minute. Amazing. Yeah, normally what I'm asked to do. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, great. Yeah, I just think if you're putting a self-tape on there that you've done in the past, upload it like near to the time, so the date is around like today, yesterday's date that you're sending off, rather than a few months ago. But yeah, awesome. Let's keep going. We're nearly there. We are nearly there. So we've done our do's and don'ts. So this is the performance side of stuff. This is all on you, this stuff. This isn't technical things at all. This is just you. So eyeline and body positioning. I have got a video example of this in a minute. We've kind of discussed a little bit of limiting your takes as well. So with your eyeline and your body positioning, again, you could record yourself, and this is what the practice run is for. This is why I personally do a practice run, to make sure that my eye lines, where I've chosen to put people or look into the distance or look at the camera or look wherever I've chosen, to make sure it works. Same with body positioning, to make sure that actually I don't turn too far to the side, or that I don't use my arms too much, or that I'm moving my head loads, or whatever I'm choosing to do doesn't look too much. So what I would normally do in an audition room works on tape. That's what my practice tape is for. Just to double check all of these things, as well as the, you know, audio visual technical aspects. I would, as I said, limit your takes. I would get into doing that ASAP and practice doing that, so that you don't stress yourself out. You also won't dread self-tapes so much once you get used to limiting your takes. Try different intentions as well. Again, I mentioned that when I do self-tape, I'll tape it like the way that I always do it. I'll do it again and do something slightly different, and maybe do it again and do something slightly different, just to see if maybe a different option works better on tape. Film all your tapes before you watch it back. As I said, that's exactly what I've always done. I do all of my takes. I start again, I film it, finish. Start again, film it, finish. Start again, film it, finish. Then I sit down and I watch everything, rather than doing a take, watch it back, doing a take, watch it back. Takes too much time. And just isn't, you get out of the mindset of like being the performer, you start becoming the reviewer. So then when you're performing, you're watching and judging yourself outside of your mind whilst you're trying to perform, and that's not helpful for anyone. This is another thing, get used to watching yourself back. An example of this, when I first started like going ham on social media and I was posting loads of different things, YouTube videos, so, you know, Instagram, whatever, a lot of the time if I went onto Instagram and I was like, oh God, there's me. Whereas now I'm like, oh, it's showing me, it's suggesting me to me. I don't really think anything of it. Just get used to watching yourself back and being, is it objective, subjective? Basically, when you don't judge yourself for how you look, or you look at yourself as you would look at a friend performing and give them feedback. You're looking at it that way, rather than going, oh, look at those baby hairs, or why did I do my makeup like that, or oh, that shirt looks horrible, or, you know, things that you judge yourself on. Don't be the judge of yourself, instead give yourself constructive feedback. And find the pros and the cons. We're really quick to critique ourselves, and I find this with singers, you know, when I'm doing vocal coaching as well. Someone will have just sing a song and I'll say, oh, how's that? And instantly they're like, oh, well, this note was a little bit funny, or like, I didn't like this, but what was good? Like, find the good in what you do before you go and critique, you know, the shit out of yourself. What was great? Find the good, and then find some things that you need to improve on as well, because there's definitely good in it. We just choose not to find that first, but I would. And notice how I've written here, find the pros and cons. I haven't said find the cons and pros. So watch it and be like, okay, well, I really like the frame, or I really like my eyeline. I really think my voice sounds great. Cons are my story wasn't as connected as I'd like it to be. That is the way to critique yourself. Any questions on performance? Drop them into the chat. So I've done a little like move through video here. We'll see if this works. It might be a little bit glitchy, but I'm just showing you how you can move in a mid frame. I feel like a lot of people are afraid to do too much movement, to move around, but actually I like putting my arms out. I've gone like all in with physicality really with this one, and then with body position, so you can see and you can decide what works and what doesn't. Is it too much? Is it not enough? Like, you can make a decision, and this is why practicing it really works. So right now I'm like literally looking right at the camera, and then I did a bit a minute ago where I looked to the side and actually it's too far to the side. You can choose to leave, you can choose to enter, like make bold choices and then decide, yes, that works, or no, that doesn't, rather than feeling like, oh, I'm being filmed, so I have to stand here and not move at all. Like, you absolutely can move. You can absolutely be physical. If you as a person in an audition room would hardly move, then don't move, because that's who you are. If you as a person are, you are quite physical, or your song does require you to throw your arms up or out or whatever, then do what you would normally do. Don't let that be because you're on tape, I'm not going to do that. And in fact, I'm just going to come back to you for this next moment, just to show you what I mean about eyeline and like angle as well, body angle. So if you're doing a self-tape, so right now I'm looking at the screen, I'm like looking at you guys on the screen. If I look here, I'm looking like directly at the camera. Sometimes directly at the camera can look okay, sometimes it can make you look a bit boss-eyed. Try it. Again, that's what practice take is for. You can look just above, you can look slightly to the side. But if I was doing a self-tape and I was singing to a couple of people in my song, and I've put one person there and one person there, like that is enough on a tape. Like, you can see that I'm looking at different people. They're not that far away. I've literally put them off the corner, each corner of the iPad. That's all I've done. However, if I put one person there and one person over there, like all of a sudden now you've actually only got half my face. And it's a bit much. So where you would probably naturally want to put them over that way, bring them in closer. Because even the most subtle move is two different people. Again, I think that comes from like your practice tape being really experimental. Same with body language. Like, if you're looking at someone like this is too much, like you can tilt your body slightly, but you don't want to go too far that then you lose him. Again, all of those things are very much personal preference and something that you can master through doing your practice takes. Any questions about the performance side? Anything that's coming up? Pop it into the chat, into the comments, if anything is coming up. And I'm gonna keep going. Yes. Because we're near the end, we're nearly there. Perfect. So, sharing the finished tape. This is literally how they've asked for it. All you have to do is double check. As you said there, Kwona, you very often get asked to put it up on YouTube as unlisted. I know some people might ask for WeTransfer, whatever it is, make sure you double check and you send it that way, because I will tell you right now, if you send it the wrong way, they won't even open it. If they've got to download something, or if the link doesn't work, that's another thing, make sure your links work. You know, they're just not gonna, they won't go through the effort. They get too many takes to be bothered to go through the effort of seeing if it'll work. Sounds harsh, but that's the reality. Slates, they might have asked you to introduce yourself, say your agent, or if you're self-represented, or tell us something about you, or tell us why you want to do this job. Like, they might have asked for that, they might have not. If they ask for it, do it. If they haven't asked for it, don't do it. It's not something you need to do. If they haven't asked, don't do it unless you particularly want to. Same thing with like label, like how you label it. They might ask for a specific way. If they don't, I would always put your name and the song title, excuse me, or the role. If you're going in for a specific role, they've asked you to take for a specific role, then yeah, but normally they would put that in the email. Same thing again, making sure your link works before you send it off. I always used to draft out my email. I would send it to myself. I would open it, make sure it all works, and then I'd send it to them, just to be doubly, triply sure that it works and is all good. It's all okay. There's no errors in there at all. Everyone good with sharing the tape? Just drop a yes in the comments if you're good with that, or if you've got a question, then again, put it in there. Yes, yes, all good, amazing, great. Any questions about self-tapes in general, the whole thing, then drop it in to the comments. If you do want to practice your self-tapes, this is something we're doing in the Get Booked membership right now. Rachel, you know this. The whole point of the membership is to train you each month on something different that is going to help you get to where you want to be in your career. So to get to the next level in your music theatre career, to book the roles that you want to book, to get in for the shows that you want to be getting in for. That is the whole point of the whole membership. And this month we're working on self-tapes, because I know that is something that we're still being asked for. It's not just a 2020 thing. It's something that's still being carried through. People are still being asked to self-tape, and singing self-tapes come with its challenges because of the surroundings and everything. Yes, Rachel, unmute, ask the question, go.
So like I did mention about doing self-tapes in my room, Benny, obviously my other half, is a singer as well. He studied at Arts Ed, so he gets the chance to, you know, he can book out the studio for a discounted price.
Yeah.
I just wondered if it's hard though, isn't it? Because what if it's £30 an hour? I would very much love to have a studio for every single self-tape, but I know it's not that realistic. But yeah. I just wonder whether casting teams, I think they do appreciate it and it's a better sound, or do you think it's, I mean, like you say, you have to do what you can do, but it's not as easy as it, like with the prices and availability.
Yeah, absolutely. So yes, it is noticed that you've hired a room. Does it mean that someone who's hired a room and has a better sound quality background, it looks more professional, more likely to get a in-person audition from that tape? Honestly, I don't think so. From all of the feedback I've gained from casting directors, it doesn't matter. Your performance and your voice is the like overriding thing that is like the most important thing. I think, knowing quite a few of them well, I think a lot of them would say don't waste your money, but if it makes you feel more confident and is going to give you a better, I mean, here's another view on it. If you decided, right, I'm going to do what Gemma said, I'm going to go and I'm going to film all of my go-to songs so that I've got them and they're really great and they're ready to go, if I get asked for them at any point in the next 2 or 3 months, then yes, I would say, spend £30 or however much it is to hire a studio, spend an hour absolutely nailing those songs, making sure that you're happy with all of those tapes, and then you've got them for the next 3 months and use them for the next 3 months. However, if you get given like set material and you've got stuff to learn, sometimes it is a quick turnaround. Like it is a challenge. I think it's great if you can. I personally don't think it matters that much. But what I would do what I just said with your go-tos though. I just think why would you not help yourself out and have tapes of the songs that you always use ready to go? It's a no-brainer to me. Awesome. Corona, you've said, is it okay if being seen, turn camera off, turned on? I would cut those out. So I would edit it so that you're literally there, you start singing, the song ends, cut. Rather than sing, it finishes, you turn off. I think it's easy now. Like we can do it without even, like, you don't even need an app for that. You can get like iMovie or something if you want to, but you can literally do that, can't you, on your phone? Like from the videos thing, you can just click the ends off. I would do that. It's more professional. Yeah. Any other questions? Any final questions? Pop them in the chat, or if you want to unmute yourself, go for it, ask away. Gigi looks like she's typing. But yeah, it's definitely something I would practice. I would get your go-tos filmed, absolutely. Is labeling a self-tape good or bad with your name or the role, a label on the screen as well as the title of the tape? I think it's up to you. I think you can have it on the screen. I know like in iMovie, you can put like your name and the title of the song. I think it's helpful if you're doing more than one song. I think that's really helpful, so they know what you're singing in case you start singing and they're like, oh, what song is this? Like, it just, if you can make their brain only think of you and what you're doing and delivering and seeing you again, do that, rather than making them, distracting their thoughts in any way. So yeah, pop the song on there. And I think if you've got your name and the role in the title, I don't think you need to then go and put it on there. However, if you did put your name on there, you are just being like, Gigi, bring Gigi back. So again, I don't think there's anything wrong with doing that. Just to be like, yeah, me. Anything that can make you stand out and make their focus so fully laser beamed on you, the better. But yeah, I think you can just label the tape, but you can also label on the screen. Personal preference again. Yeah. Awesome. Any final questions? Are we all good? How are we feeling? Awesome. This has been really, really good. I very much enjoyed this, and some really good questions as well. I feel like we covered quite a few things. Yeah, and as I said before, if you do want to be practicing your self-tapes, we're doing the self-tape challenge inside of the membership right now. So what I'll do is I'll just put the link in the chat in case you want to have a look. If you want to join, then you absolutely can. This week we've started this week, but this week was self-taping for Les Mis. They were the requirements, but all of the self-tape stuff goes into the members hub, which you'll instantly get access to. You have until Sunday evening, and then excuse me, on Monday morning it changes and goes to a different audition brief again. So each week over the next month, you'll get a different audition brief in there. But definitely keep practicing your self-tapes. And yeah, use this, rewatch this, you'll get the replay and everything as well. Yeah. Have a wonderful Friday. Thank you so much for joining me, you guys. It's been a pleasure. I will see you soon. See you later.